everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. And it is a big episode because, after all, hey, Anthony, what's happening today?
That's, I believe, start of training camps.
The training camps are opening and hockey is back. We are going to be watching a man's sport, even though we're also going to be talking briefly about another sport in a moment because something is happening this week for both me and Anthony. I, of course, am your host, Marc Williams. Delighted that I am actually off tonight. It's so great to have. And for the man that is 2-0 this season with his Bills Mafia, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Yeah, as excited as I am for, on ice day one of training camp tomorrow. Let's go Buffalo, baby.
Yes.
They are the best team in the NFL right now. I mean, the Dolphins obviously overachieving right now, but Buffalo, widely picked to win the Super Bowl. They are an absolute wagon right now, and led by Josh Allen. So I'm really happy. We'll see. We'll see what happens when our teams clash on Sunday.
Yeah, my Dolphins versus your Bills. I would love to say that I can't wait to actually watch that game, but I know I'm going to be at my aunt's house because my brother's in from Arizona, so I might not get a chance to watch all of this. And one thing I got to say, Anthony, I really truly appreciate about the NFL is that I have Red Zone in my house with me and my roommates, and it doesn't work on my phone. I blogged it in the first 2 weeks. That's the thing. You can say what you will about the NHL, but it doesn't work on there because the NFL's got to pimp themselves out to like 9,000 different things. Well, everybody, by the way, thanks for joining us today because we have a lot to cover. Mat Barzal's 32 Thoughts interview, a whole lot of stuff in the Bar Talk, especially with Nate MacKinnon getting paid. And that's the only way I have to say it with him because he is getting paid today. And we're going to start with actually a transaction that happened this week. A couple weeks ago, we talked about Nils Lundkvist moving on from New York, from the New York Rangers. Well, Anthony said he was going to be traded before the start of training camp, and you called it. So you're right about that. I figure it was going to be more like Vitaly Kravtsov, that he was just going to be there for a while. So the Rangers trade Lundqvist to the Dallas Stars, even though I'm trying to do this by memory, Anthony. The Chiron's right there. I can just read it.
Yeah.
For a protected first round pick and a conditional fourth.
Yeah. And the conditional fourth is if he it becomes, I think, a third maybe, or if he gets
55 points in his first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Because it's this season and next for him. I don't know. That's a lot. So, Anthony, I got to ask you this. What is your initial reaction to the Lundqvist trade?
I mean, Chris Drury did a great job. I didn't think there was any reality that he can get a first round pick for him. I thought he was going to have to accept a second round pick, which had been reported that had been on the table from a couple of teams since, up to the, leading to the previous draft that occurred. So yeah, I'm really, really surprised that he got it first, especially in the 2023 draft. I think Dallas, overpaid a little bit, but clearly their scouting department sees something in the player that they really like. And I guess they felt that their draft pick would be, pretty low. So for them, it made sense. It also kind of, somewhat replaces John Klingberg, who left in free agency when he signed with Anaheim. So, it's a good deal for both teams, I suppose. The Rangers get an additional first, whether it be this year or next, and another fourth, and then Dallas gets the player they want. So, but kudos on Chris Drury for getting a first for him again, because I didn't think that was possible. Nils Lundkvist, didn't really have the best first year pro. I mean, he played pretty good in Hartford once he got adjusted to North America, but he didn't live up to some of the expectations that a lot of Ranger fans kind of put on him. But with that said, I think, albeit some of it was unrealistic or a little unfair, I think, Marc, as you would admit, I think he was a little overhyped by a large portion of the Ranger fan base going into the previous season. I mean, we even talked about it on this show. Well, not me specifically, but Nils going for a Calder, and so yeah, it was a lot of high expectations for him to live up to, and hopefully, in Dallas he blossoms as a player as he gets older. But again, kudos to Chris Drury for getting the first. He did a really good job there.
This is potentially a win-win for both teams. And just going with what the Rangers have right now, I got to say, Chris Drury basically just got a do-over. It's here you go. He has a first-round pick, probably going to be mid to late first round. So the Rangers get to completely just do it all over. You don't have to worry about whether or not Lundqvist succeeds or not, because who cares? He wasn't going to succeed in New York. The role wasn't there for him here. And this is why, Anthony, when I talk about roles for any team, never mind a hockey team. I mean, you could do it with baseball with lineups, football with different roles, slot receiver, split end. Then you have, of course, basketball and their stuff. But I mean, Lundqvist wasn't just going to be a power play quarterback, so he wasn't going to develop there. He was going to get marginal power play 2 time, maybe at that, if at that. And as a bottom pairing defenseman, I'm not really in love with Lundqvist being there anyway.
No,
so they moved on to
he felt blocked. He felt blocked, and some. And not to cut you off, but I've seen some Ranger fans criticize him and okay, well, suck it up and work hard and win your spot back. But it's easier said than done to just say that. From his perspective, position is big in hockey. Not often does a player switch to their offside. So for him, I guess he felt that that wasn't feasible, and he wanted to play right away. And he did what was best for him. So I don't blame him, and I don't obviously blame the Rangers either. But I think it's a better situation for everybody.
Now, just to go further into that thought, though, because going with what a lot of fans would say, you could still be Tom Brady and be behind Drew Bledsoe, and the next thing you know, Mo Lewis begins your Hall of Fame career because he destroys Tom Brady. Lots of
Drew Bledsoe,
lots of franchises are either set up or destroyed with one play. So as far as Lundqvist goes, he could have gotten there. Now, here's the other thing. This is, and first, let me actually compliment the Dallas Stars and get this thought out too. The Dallas Stars may have just replaced John Klingberg, and it's a bit of a high compliment right away, Anthony. He's not there yet. John Klingberg is a hell of a player, and Lundqvist isn't there, but you might develop into John Klingberg very soon. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's enough.
John Klingberg's a lot bigger than him, right?
Yeah, he is bigger. Yeah. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm trying to think of other guys to even compare him to. I mean, I'm trying to think of I'm trying to remember how Vinny Hainola is, how big he is right now with the Winnipeg Jets. But we're going to be talking more about the Jets, by the way, in a moment. Here's one thing. Here we go.
Let's just pump the brakes here. I mean, nothing is getting you into the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. I mean, whoever has that first overall pick isn't trading that for the world. So the Rangers can trade their 2 extra picks and whoever they want. Ain't happening. But I appreciate the dreaming about it. I appreciate the dreaming of it, but that's not happening.
And I'm so glad you put up this comment because that's a lot of Ranger fans that were saying yesterday, cool, so they could actually win the Stanley Cup and be in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. Nope, they're not. It's first round. It's top 10 protected. So if the Stars get it and for some reason decline the first round pick this year, it still just moved to the 2024 in that case. But there's kind of a couple underlying themes with this, which I got to ask you. Well, actually, I was going to ask you about it. What do you, when you look at the Nils Lundkvist situation, are there any underlying themes that you're seeing? Because here's what I see. Gordy Clark's scouting was very flawed at that time because let's see, they had 5 first-round draft picks in those 2 years. Elias Anderson, Philip Hedl, Vitaly Kravtsov, Keandre Miller, and Nils Lundkvist. So far, Anderson and Lundqvist are gone. TBD on Kravtsov. Miller looks like a home run, and we're still waiting to see on Hedl.
Yeah,
and it's also the treatment of first-round picks. I mean, go ahead. I mean, your
Phil,
thoughts?
I think Phil's talked about this recently on social media and in
Oh,
the past, but it is a little concerning that a lot of guys, Elias Anderson and Nils Lundkvist, Kravtsov, they all requested trades and wanted out. I mean, every one of those situations, honestly, is pretty different. But I mean, it still is a little, it makes you scratch your head exactly what goes on after the player's drafted and why this has transpired 3 times now. I mean, Vitaly Kravtsov, it seems like they repaired the relationship, but who knows? I mean, if he got beat out by somebody in camp and the Rangers tried to send him down, that would be the end of it for him. I'm almost positive that there's no way that he's going to accept another demotion to Hartford after how he basically kicked and screamed after the first one. So,
fortunately, he's not going to. I think it's a one-way deal.
well, he can. He would just be. He would have to go through waivers if it's just a
Okay.
one
Yeah.
deal.
All right.
So no one's exempt from going to being sent to the AHL. It just depends if they're exempt from passing the waivers. Actually, despite Kraftsov's one-way deal, I'm not sure. He might not. He might still be exempt for waivers. I mean, the guy hasn't even played an NHL game yet, so I don't think he would have to pass through waivers, but maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, point is, yeah, it's happened 3 times, and then you can also look to Kakko was a high pick, and he hasn't really broke out yet. So yeah, it does make you scratch your head and wonder, what goes on with the Rangers, scouting and development of players.
And I think that's a very important topic and important thing to broach, because the truth is the Rangers have done a piss poor job of developing forwards. They've done well with defensemen, not so much forwards. I did see this one comment. I just want to get to it real quick. There's still one more question in this segment, but Romano just said this one. Nils is a victim of good circumstance for us. Everyone just about panned out. We had no space for him. Also, a top Swede D and 28th overall should play. His demand was reasonable here. Okay, and I agree with that a little bit. And a little bit of that has to go with Lafreniere and Kakko. You're like, oh, there's so many guys in there. What are they doing? But on the other hand, the other problem that goes into that is you're then choosing veterans over these guys. You can't learn by never doing.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. I mean, if that's the case, just by watching videos on YouTube, I should be a scratch golfer. Trust me, it's not going to happen.
Marc, you know
So,
better than me. I thought Kravtsov's only played in preseason games. He's played regular season games for the Rangers.
yeah, the shortened season, the COVID season, he played
Okay.
about I want to say 20 games.
All right.
So that's right.
That totally
Dominic.
went over my head. I didn't even realize that. I guess that just goes to show I didn't really have a huge effect. But
Yeah,
I
and
didn't even realize that.
and by the way, Anthony, just to say this for the record, as far as that goes, he had, if his first career NHL goal was against the Devils, and then they ended up disallowing it because it was on offsides.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, come on, just give him the goal anyway. And I think he ended up getting it a few weeks later against the Devils again. So, and
DC just like Bridgeport, they both are, and I think Bridgeport's even worse, to be honest with you. I very very crime-ridden city. It's not particularly good.
yeah, they're not exactly the best of cities. Well, first off, if you got a Russian that's refusing, he's like, this place is not good. No, then that's pretty bad. Anthony, one more bit about the Lundqvist trade is, does this mean, I hate to use this term win-loss, but does this mean the Rangers lost the Ryan McDonagh trade?
I mean, I already thought they lost the Ryan McDonagh trade regardless. I mean, it doesn't really help, but I mean, I don't, not so much for me does this affect it. Like, because again, I already had my belief they already did to begin with. So,
Yeah, I got to agree with you on that one. And I already think that they lost. Now, granted, you could still get something out of it. That's where the good news out of all this is. But it's just, it's at least you get the do over on the draft pick now. Who knows what the Rangers get at probably I'm going to say the Stars are going to be around 23 to 24.
That made me laugh. But
No.
honestly,
No, Connecticut is good.
Yeah.
Hartford is just not that great.
My buddy played Division I at Quinnipiac. I would visit him many times. That area is nice. They have a lot of nice areas in Connecticut, but those particular cities, I mean, not the best. Let's just say this:
Well,
you're not vacationing in Bridgeport or Hartford.
Yeah, and major cities, they don't exactly have the best track records to begin with. So, but again, it's just as far as the Ryan McDonough trade, I'd still the Rangers got Brett Howden, Libor Hayek, like who was doing the scouting on these guys? That's the thing I just can't help but go because what were they looking at? Why is Libor Hayek still on this team? I still don't get it. But all right, we are going to move on from there. By the way, if you happen to notice that I'm wearing my Big Apple hockey hat, we do have them available. Anthony's got the white version. I got the blue version. They're available in the link below. It's on our eBay store. Look us up because they're starting to go. I've actually can't believe I've sold as many as I have, but they might have been out of pity with friends. So I don't know about that, Anthony. Anthony, we're going to go. Actually, I got to leave the ticker on for that. Anthony, the other big news that I have to mention that happened this week, and it's really not news, it's just an interview, but Mat Barzal was interviewed by 32 Thoughts and Elliot Friedman. They did a great job.
The media tour in Vegas,
Yeah, I mean, they had Crosby, they had Scheifele on there, but Barzal is the one that they got a lot. I think there's a lot of good sound bites.
Yeah, there is.
Islander fans, you're going to want to hear this. But Barzal was talking about his offseason. He said, Barzal on the summer, I need my sunshine. New York has it. Played golf 4 or 5 days. It was great. Right out of the rink, the golf. Talking about how they always have their practice facility. Barzal on becoming an East Coaster. I still think it's about 50-50. I still bring that BC blood is floating around New York. Two worlds colliding. I'm tilting a little bit more New York. Good news again, Islander fans. He hasn't. And by the way, also good news on the contract. Let's get this out of the way. Anthony, he's an RFA, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he's not walking right away. He's there's no chance of pulling a Tavares. So everybody can feel free to love again. And this one I like too about what he said. Barzal on the Long Island lifestyle. It's really underrated. I just saw the Michael Jackson musical. I realized I misspelled Michael Jackson right there. And get to play a top 10 golf course the next day. Do Martha's Vineyard, and the Hamptons are 2 hours away. But here's where the really juicy thing comes in. Barzal on his next contract. If things go well, I'd love to play my career on Long Island. I take a lot of pride in playing with the same franchise.
Yeah, sorry, I'll let you go. He's previously said before that he thinks it's cool when one athlete plays his whole career on a team, and he mentioned I forget who he meant. He mentioned Patrick Kane, who oddly enough might get traded, but he mentioned Patrick Kane,
Sidney Crosby.
Other sports too. I think he mentioned Derek Jeter. And there was maybe one other player. So yeah, I'm not surprised that he said that in the
yeah,
interview.
And but you get the tone from the guy, either great media training, or you get the tone from him that
really does like it. I think Jordan was the player that he referenced.
He did reference Michael Jordan, by the way, Cora. Yeah. That's right. Even though, by the way, speaking about which, Anthony, Michael Jordan played for two teams as well. But you get the feeling that this is a guy that likes where he is, likes the situation that he's in. There's a couple more sound bites that I'm gonna go with on this. But first, Anthony, your thoughts on this one?
This one particularly?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool to hear, but at the same time, you've heard other players say this stuff and then go elsewhere. So I'm not going to sit there and jump up and down about it like a little giddy schoolgirl. But no, it's nice to hear, and I don't have any doubt that he would leave. Obviously, there's a lot of good things about the area. Loves Long Island. It's a great place to live, especially when you have a lot of money. Because let's face it, Long Island's very expensive. Good ownership. despite what we think about, certain guys named Lou, and the management's still very much well respected. And actually, in Lou's interview when they had the golf outing the other day, he said that he's Barzal's biggest fan. So I'm not worried about Barzal. I think it will get done. With that said, I thought the interview was interesting. He also spoke about Ilya Sorokin and some other stuff, and it's good. We always talk about players and letting their personalities come out, and Barzal definitely has a decent sized personality on him. He's into fashion. He also he's been candid on like offer sheets before. He's talked about how it's cool and he likes to see some action that way. So he's very opinionated. So it was a good listen. And
Well,
he
finish your thought.
He also has a lot of expectations on himself. I mean, I think everyone in the hockey media recognizes that he is a much better player than he produces. He's played in the Barry Trotz run system for the last couple of years. But I think a lot of people know if he played for another coach or another team, he would be an 80-point player. And Dan Rosen actually today in his NHL mailbag even said as much. He said that Barzal is definitely an 80-point player. He just needs to be given a little more leash to create some more offense, because when he has the puck on his stick and he gets going, he's very creative, and he has a lot of skill. So don't be fooled by his downward production since his rookie year. It's all there, and hopefully he gets unleashed this season.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because I still have 5 more juicy quotes out of this interview, and one of them is this one. It's Barzal and Lane Lambert.
That's very true.
Yeah, Jesus. Barzal and Lane Lambert. I think him and Barry have similar philosophies. Lane will expect me to back check hard. If I'm not doing that, I can't do other things. Speaking about that leash, if you're not playing defense, then don't be thinking I'm gonna set you free on offense. He talked about this. I love this quote too, and this is very true. And I'm gonna ask you about another follow up to this in a minute. Barzal and his teammates, even with our playoff runs in the bubble, I'm so close with everyone on the team. Winning and taking it to the next level also brings them closer. Barzal in last season, I mean, everybody knows about the road trip, but the COVID thing, you have 8 or 9 guys out of the lineup, and you hope to win. It's not going to happen in the NHL. We were always chasing after that, and I got 2 more quotes, but I got 3 more quotes, but let me give you this one first. Him on Sorokin. It's like, I think the cat's already a little bit out of the bag on him. You watch Ilya in practice. He's so good. The guy's like a ninja. He'd be the last guy in practice and he'll take every single shot, talking about how some goalies will go for a skate. But, this one is very true too, because he's talking about the Islanders alumni, and I'm going to pause and give you one more, another question about this one, a follow-up. But Barzal and the Islanders alumni, those guys were there for various events. Hearing those guys tell stories and the cool bond to see with them after 40 years. Anthony, have you, when were you playing in high school or anything, or when you were playing hockey, or have you won a championship on any level?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I tell you what, I still talk to my high school buddies, and all the time we'll stop in the middle of a conversation and be like, remember that save that Richie made on a Rob DeAngelis? And it's great moments like that. And that's where you kind of just see the Islanders getting together and talking about it. And, losing Gillies and losing Bossy was bad. But I mean, seeing a bond teammates have, especially when you win championships, it lasts forever.
No. I mean, listen, I think it's no secret that winning can bring teams even closer together. And I know it's cliche, you hear a lot of players on different teams talk about how close everyone is, but I truly believe everyone on this Islander team, they really are really close. I mean, the bubble obviously helped bring them closer. I mean, you're basically with everybody every second, and you can't go to the outside world, and you're spending every waking time with each other. They went on some long runs. This group is largely the same group since 18-19 when Lou came aboard, with some tinkering here or there. And at that time, a lot of people doubted them. They had the the prove people wrong mantra before the season started. And that stuff brings you close together. And I think these guys are all really determined to prove to everybody that they still are a top team. And last year was just a ridiculous set of circumstances that just kept spiraling, and it went out of control. And I mean, listen, again, not to make excuses, but it is true. I mean, the 13-game road trip is really tough. Then you get ravaged by COVID, and the league, for whatever reason, had them continue playing. Mark, it wasn't that like they shut down for other teams, games postponed, but for whatever reason, the Islanders. I don't know if it was because it was a new building and they didn't want to postpone new games.
I think it was the new building, by the way.
But to have them keep playing with basically half an AHL roster for that amount of games, I think more so than the 13-game road trip, I thought that's what really did them in, because they weren't, if you remember correctly, they were actually, I think, 5-3-2 at one point on that road trip. So that's 8.
Yep.
That's 10 games in, and that's pretty good through 10 games. And then after that, the wheels started falling off. So, and then even from losing Gillies, I know this doesn't have anything to do with the on-ice product, but just from a whole circumstance of everything. Then you lose 2 legends in the same season. Just a disastrous year for the New York Islanders and anybody that's a fan of them. So I think they're all looking forward to having a new slate, start clean, and again, go back to that mantra that they had in 18-19: prove people wrong.
Going back to what you're saying, though, really quick about, and I'm going to address a couple of those things, and I still got one more quote for a player that just retired. More on that other player in a moment, but when you lose a legendary player, it's one thing on any team. You could lose, pick a guy, any guy that's just at random. When you lose a guy like the Islanders losing Clark Gillies or Mike Bossy, who are around the team a lot, Joe DiMaggio, who always would visit the Yankees locker room, or Rod Gilbert, who was constantly around the Rangers. Like, I often talk about the fact that the Rangers and the Mets did not honor their past as well as they do. Like the Yankees and the Islanders, for instance, always reveled in their past. And then now the Mets and the Rangers are trying to catch up to that a little bit. But Rod Gilbert, by the way, just really quick, and I'm going to go right back to Mat Barzal. Rod Gilbert was the guy that always kind of was the past connection. And then you lose a guy like that. I think it actually does wear on the on-ice product a little bit. And then you want to go out there and win for him, and then you don't. Then you feel like a little bit of a failure. Then it's stuff like that builds up. But what Barzal is right about this, and I still talk about this with the 13-game road streak to start. And they lost that game in Minnesota. I think it was the only game they lost with the lead going into the third period. The Islanders never do that, especially under Barry Trotz. You lose that game, you're off for 4 days. Then you get the Devils, and the Devils just cold clocked them 4-0, I believe that was, because you're circling the date to go to Tampa. That's game number 12 of the road trip. The Islanders get there, score the first goal. Tampa wins the game 4-1, if I remember correctly. And then before you can even blink an eye, they're down 4-0 to the Florida Panthers in the first period. You're going, what the hell is happening over here? But then it's just like, let's get the road trip over. Let's get there. And then 5 days off. They're ready to open the new building, and COVID hits. Like,
it actually hit before when they were in Florida. I remember, if you remember correctly, Josh Bailey,
you
left
wrote that.
Florida for like 7 days. And then from there, it just spread like wildfire pretty much through the lineup.
And this is where you're right. And this is where some Islander fans are right. Like, again, I don't think that it's 100%. It was just COVID. It was just this. It was this. Now the Islanders have a clean slate. Let's see everything that their potential on this season. But I think there were definitely symptoms that things can go wrong. but that's an extraordinary amount of dominoes that fall right there, and eventually you just kind of throw up your hands and go, like, what the hell? And you're
And
right
then,
about another thing: losing 8 or 9 guys out of the lineup. They still had to play games, and then they lost guys due to injury on top of it. So then, but the Carolina Hurricanes, they got games postponed,
yeah,
and they only had 6 players out.
That
So
didn't make any sense.
yeah. And the last quote is about Zdeno Chara. He was always at the gym. He was amazing. And, everything he said, he was just full of wisdom, he says. I would love to have played a year with Zdeno Chara just to hear what that's like. Also, the one thing I wouldn't be looking forward to Anthony playing with Zdeno Chara is my neck hurting because I always have to look up at him. So that would just not really go.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, yeah. So what are your thoughts on the interview? Because you got to listen to it. Does this sound like a guy that might be a long-term New York Islander?
Yeah, I think, and actually, Elliot Friedman said that he, from what he understands, discussions on his, an extension have already begun. Lou was asked about it, but naturally, he doesn't speak about that. But yeah, I could see it getting done at some point during this season. Maybe even before the first regular season game. Who knows? I think he's going to get the extension. And even though the production last couple of years hasn't been at this level, but I think he's at least getting $9 to $10 million probably AAV. It's just what it is. I mean, he's an insanely skilled player, and he has the capability of scoring big points, so he's going to get paid like it. And then really from there, once Barzal's locked up, I mean, the Islanders pretty much have everyone under contract for the next couple of years. There's no really big. Well, maybe Sorokin, I think, in what is it, a year or 2 more
2 years, I believe.
Yeah, aside
not
from that,
this. Yeah.
they now they got Dobson done. They really don't have to. Well, Wallstrom's ELC is going to expire, but he's not going to break the bank right off the bat. So
No, and especially not with Lou. Lou will definitely bridge him before anything else with that.
All their pieces in place.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot to do with that, and again, like I said, media training is one thing, but you kind of really get the sense that this guy wants to be a New York Islander and be here. So hopefully that's going to be the case, but we'll find out more about that soon enough. So, by the way, going to throw it back down one more time to tell everybody, make sure you go to Manscaped. Got it right over here. That's actually, no, I actually have it in my bathroom. I just had the bag over here.
You don't want to get caught. You don't want to get caught with your pants down and be embarrassed. So if you catch my drift. So
right, exactly. So make sure you go to Manscaped, use the promo code BAH for 20% off and free shipping. I forgot what it was for a second, Anthony. I've been forgetting to do all the lead-ins. All right, Anthony, let's get to bar talk. And Bill.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever to answer.
Let me say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. Welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk, where we are gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. Are you so confident that you're going to buy everybody around? Or are you just so? I'll take a beer. Or, oh my God, just give me a shot and let's be done with this. All right, and once again,
yeah, I think that's.
Yeah. And the funny part is we're saying the positive things. And look, like I said, I call balls and strikes. Even if somebody hates me, I can still say something positive about them. And by the way, once again, the Big Apple Hockey Trucker hats are available. Click the link below and get in on that. And also, while I'm at it, football season is upon us. Click the link below to get a Bet Us account at 125% bonus. Anthony, my first topic kind of goes back to what we were talking about before with the New York Rangers. Sorry, everybody. Hold on. All right, there it goes. Frog's gone. Anthony, the New York Rangers should be concerned with their prospect development.
I'll go with a beer on this one. Again, I referenced, a lot of the situations they ran into with, Elias Anderson and Kravtsov and Nils Lundkvist. They're kind of all, somewhat different situations, but also with some similarities. But I mean, overall, you look at some of their, top picks over the years, haven't really gone totally smooth or haven't developed into the players that a lot of the fans, or I'm sure even the management, expected them to be right away. Referencing Lafreniere and Kakko there in that regard. But I think, every player, is on a different learning curve and a different trajectory. So not too much to worry there. But again, it is a little concerning when you look around when you look around the league and you see other players picked in similar spots to where guys like Lafreniere and Kakko are. In terms of the production, there's a significant difference. I mean, you look at, and I think, Marc, you've referenced him before, Lucas Raymond in Detroit, on a worse team, producing. Tim Stutzla on Ottawa. It was already, he had 55 plus points last year, roughly around there.
I think it was 58, actually.
Yeah, it's close to 60 points. Meanwhile, Lafreniere hasn't been close to that. So again, there are stuff you could point to and be like, all right, well, why aren't our guys doing this? But again, every organization has a different philosophy when it comes to prospect development. But yeah, I mean, maybe it couldn't hurt for the Rangers to maybe, really look at things in the mirror and switch some things up. But it's also maybe just all coincidence too. You never know. So I'll go with a beer.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the very lightest side of beer. I'm not concerned as much, but I do have to say, sort of like on The Simpsons, where you got the guys screaming, "Quit stalling! What's the plan?" I mean, you got to have a plan with some of these guys, because it's not just hockey. First of all, by the way, you're right about this. Not all progression is linear. It goes up, it goes backwards. Hell, look at the early 2000s, 2010s, where Michael Del Zotto looked like he was going to be a player in the NHL, and instead he's just, Michael Del Zotto. So he was progressing up, and regressed. Look, as far as Lafreniere goes, and it must be frustrating looking over and going, if I was drafted by Detroit, I'd be getting paid right now. Or if I was drafted by Ottawa, I'd be getting paid right now. But on the other hand, you just played for a chance to go to the Stanley Cup. So settle down, kid, because those guys, they ain't going to be there for a long time. So do they have to be concerned a little bit? But also, if you haven't too many prospects or too many different roles that are blocked, sort of like what Nils Lundkvist is complaining about, whole reason why he asked for the trade. And if that's happening, then you know what? Then you got to move some of those guys. You got to get other assets. You got to turn them into a different asset. But you got to make sure you identify the players that they want, and there's got to be a plan. You can't just stick Kakko and Lafreniere on the back. And
this right here, though, I see what he's trying to say, but you got to remember, Chytil had 8 goals in 67 games, only 22 points. He wasn't good in the regular season. Yes, he was good in the playoffs, but I wouldn't count that small sample size in the playoffs of Chytil breaking out. Let's see him do it over the course of the regular season. Because again, you could point to, remember Fernando Pisani in the Oilers run against the Hurricanes? That guy was a playoff hero. Never
Sean
really to be seen
Bergenheim,
again.
RJ Umberger.
Yeah, Brian Bickle in Chicago. Sometimes guys just pick their game up in the playoffs, and then, granted, these guys are a little older and not young, like a youngerish prospect like Chytil is, but still, the point is, in the playoffs, some guys elevate their game and then, never really to be seen of again. So, yeah, Chytil was fantastic in the playoffs, but his regular season was subpar. So I wouldn't say he broke out yet. Let's watch him do it this regular season.
And Donnell, I see that comment. I'm going to make sure I save that for later. And yeah, there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more can he do the 82 game grind? That's going to be one thing. Keep in mind, he had 8 goals, as you just said, 8 goals in the regular season, 9 in the playoffs. So hopefully you're right, Joe. Hopefully he found his game. Because remember, the Rangers late last season, they were trying him on the wing. So it's not necessarily like Chytil's exactly found it. I still think his place would be I still think his place would be with Panarin, because then Panarin could do all the center heavy lifting, dirty work. So, Anthony, we're gonna move on to a former Islander great, and we can actually say the word former Island. Well, he wasn't an Islander great, but he was a great player anyway. Zdeno Chara retired after 25 seasons. And I got some of the numbers coming up for you right here. Here you go. 1,680 games, most by a defenseman, 209 goals, 471 assists, a plus 301. Anthony, and you know what? Let me flash it now, Anthony. Well, it's all out of the laugh. Zdeno Chara was the last active player to face the Toronto Maple Leafs in the second round. All right. So, Anthony, Zdeno Chara is a top 10 defenseman all time.
Oh, well, we talked about this in our group chat with Phil yesterday.
We do.
And I think, he made it very clear that, it's really not close. I mean, I have him outside the top 10 too, because there's just, there's a lot of guys who, put up more points than him and, had very prolific careers too. But I mean, Chara was like a unicorn almost. His combination of like size with still moving pretty well when he was younger is pretty amazing. I'm not sure we'll ever see something like that again. A guy that big being as mobile as he was and good in really all areas. As I mentioned, this was a guy that had a couple, 3 50-point seasons when he wasn't really even known to be an offensive defenseman. His job was a big, nasty, top pair shutdown guy. Definitely a Hall of Famer. I mean, I probably have him around 15 or so, but it's no slight on him. I mean, he's one of the best defensemen that we have kind of grown up watching in our teen years and beyond. So yeah, fantastic career for Chara, but I don't know if I'd call him a top 10 defenseman.
All right, so that's a shot for that, right?
Beer.
Oh, beer? Okay.
Yeah.
So we got you for beer. I'm going to go shot. And again, this is no fault of his own. And the reason why on that one is there's so many great defensemen. I can't put him ahead of Chelios or Leach. I can't put him ahead of Pronger, Niedermeyer, Stevens. And I'm not even scraping to the best. The top 5 on defense is basically set. I actually, by the way, argue this all the time with my friend John, who runs All Things Islanders. But it's like, who's the best? Who's the best defenseman of all time is Bobby Orr. The second best defenseman, that's where we argue. I actually go Nick Lidstrom. How about that one, everybody? And then you got Ray Bourque. Then you have Paul Coffey. Then you have Doug Harvey. There's so many different guys that you can go with on this. So it's not really Chara's fault that he's a top 10 defenseman of all time, but man, he has put up one hell of a career. And it just all the things that Chara has done, that rocket of a slap shot for starters, and hardest shot in NHL history. He's done it with composite sticks. He's done it with a wooden stick, and I mean, he basically made Ryan Callahan captain of the New York Rangers because Callahan dove in front of a Chara slap shot, and I believe he broke his ankle or his foot. It might have been I think it might have been his ankle. That was back in 2011, and then the Rangers were without him the rest of the season. But it's been a great ride for Zdeno Chara. Can't say enough of that. And this is no fault of his own. This guy is one of the best of all time. And I would say he's definitely the best Slovakian hockey player of all time. And the funny part about that is he's got competition. Marian Gaborik and for instance, Marian Gaborik and Marian Hossa would be two of the ones that I would come to mind on that. And then the other guys, I guess, I don't know where the Stastny brothers, if they're Czech or if they're Slovak. As I know, I think they came out of Czechoslovakia back when it was back in the day. So I don't know which one they are. I'd have to look that up right now. So I'm going to reserve the right to have the Stastny brothers on there as I'm trying to kill a couple more minutes waiting for Anthony to come back. So, but yeah, Big Z. Oh man, Big Z. He was, yeah. By the way, the one thing that sucks is that now all the players in the NHL are younger than me. So what can I say? 44 and still thinking, all right, well, Maybe I could play in the league because there's a 45-year-old in the league. Granted, he's 6'9" and a former Norris Trophy winner. Can't believe he only won one, but still. By the way, checking in on the poll question that you guys have right over here. I have, where is your favorite seat at the game? So far, low and at center ice, 42% of you. I actually like sometimes being high up at the end, watching the plays break out, watching the different zone coverages. It's where I got to watch on the bridge level. I think I was section, I want to say it was section 320 or something like that, watching the Rangers back in 2014. Buddy of mine, Scott from We Are Blue Shirt Nation, used to get ticket packages there all the time. And like I said, killing more time waiting for Anthony to get back. Actually, you know what, Donnell, let me get that comment that you had up here. On. Wait. Oh yeah, the set up the Grand Slam. I thought they were playing right now for a minute. By the way, yeah, how about Aaron Judge, 60 home runs? And I was at the bar looking at the TV and I called it. I'm like, as soon as I figured the game would be out of reach. I think it was a 3-1 count. He ended up going to 3-2, throw him right on in. I mean, and by the way, the best part about it is it hit a railing. As soon as it hit the railing, it went right past. There was a free-for-all for that ball because everybody knows that's a lottery ticket. So they are Slovakian. Thank you, Dominic. See, oh, thank you, Davey. Thank you. Marc, don't worry in your eyes. You're younger than me by 5 years. Yeah, I'm hoping on that. Yeah, it's the latest, not the greatest. That is true. But I mean, Aaron Judge is doing a lot of things that, you know, I'll say this to him in 1 second as I just go back to Donnell's comment real quick before I go back to Aaron Judge. Actually, let me finish on Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is hitting 60 home runs. I think he's the first player to hit 60 without really any competition behind him. Think about it. You have Ruth hitting 60, but Lou Gehrig was right behind him. And Lou Gehrig, by the way, 176 RBIs that year. That's fourth most in American League history, I think. And he did it. There's a minimum 60 times where no one was on base. Unbelievable. So I find that as a mind-boggling statistic. Now, so let's start with that. Then you have Maris doing it, and he was, let's see, it was Mantle right behind him. I think Mantle finished with 55 that year, and Maris went on to hit 61. Then you have McGuire and Sosa. We all know about that, and it's one of the greatest stories in Major League Baseball. Yes, steroids were in there. We all know this, but whatever. And then people forget about this. Luis Gonzalez hit 50 home runs, and he was chasing Barry Bonds too when Bonds hit 73. So it wasn't like Bonds wasn't getting pushed either. So Aaron Judge hitting 60 home runs, amazing. Is absolutely amazing. By the way, really quick, Anthony, two things. One, would you say Zdeno Chara, greatest Slovakia player of all time? And I did just have somebody confirm the Stasnies are in there.
I mean, Marian Hossa.
Yeah, I think Marian Hossa is up there for me.
Yeah.
Why is this doing this? Okay. All right. And by the way, Anthony, also, what's your favorite seat at a hockey game?
Center ice, like in the low 300s. See everything.
Right. There you go. Anthony's in that 38th percentile right now. I got a question. The poll question is, where's your favorite seat at the game? Although, by the way, also coming up pretty good is in a luxury box, like a rich bastard. That's 24% so far. By the way, Anthony, Donnell asked this question. I just wanted to throw this out as before we just continue on. Did you see? You saw the leak. Actually, you're the one that sent it to me about the Oilers reverse retro. What do you think about it?
I think.
Oh, Phil did? Okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. It's basically the oil. It is the oil drop jersey with just the orange in it. You don't like it. Nothing spectacular, but it's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. It's cool. That's just it. Just, I'm not like gushing over it. By the way, before we just continue on to the next one, David, the Mets didn't blow that lead. The Braves are playing a hell of a good baseball. So, okay, Anthony, since we kind of took the detour on this, Romanel is asking if Judge hits 62 plus home runs and never plays another game, is he a Hall of Famer? Bar Talk topic.
Oh, it's a tough question because I mean some people view the record still being 61 because the asterisks that Sosa and Bonds and whatnot have next to their names. But I mean, I don't know, 1 year. I don't know. I would probably say no, but then again, like I said, I'm not a huge baseball guy, so I don't know what his his statistics are kind of in some of the prior years. So it's tough to say, but I mean, I just snap judgment, I would probably say no.
I'm gonna go with no, and the reason why is because he still has a lot of he basically had a great season. That's the way to say it. There's a lot more magic numbers you have to get: 500 home runs, 3,000 hits. You got to be a consistently great player. This is a guy that's right now, I believe, in year 6 of his Major League Baseball career. It's way too early if he says if he never plays another game, he's a Hall of Famer. No. And again, I love Aaron Judge. He's a great player, but no. And we're gonna get back to the show in 1 second, guys. But Richie, I got to answer this question right now. Right now, it's not even in the neighborhood of Sergei Zubov. The Rangers traded their leading scorer from the Stanley Cup winning year, and they already knew that the following year. Sergei Zubov should have been a New York Ranger for a long time. Marc Messier putting his GM hat on was dumb. I mean, that's my take on it. So, that's where I have my frustrations. That's why stars need to play and GMs need the GM. Occasionally you can give input if the GM needs it, but that's about it. All right, let's get back to our topics, Anthony, because by the way, once again, no more active players played the Toronto Maple Leafs in the second round. Eesh. As that one just hurts. Anthony, I said it at the beginning of the show and alluded to it that Nate MacKinnon got paid $12.6 million on an AAV. He was coming off a 7-year, $6.5 million AAV contract. Nate MacKinnon deserves to be the league's highest paid player.
I mean, I'm gonna deserves to be. Probably not, but just because of just because McDavid signed his extension a couple of years ago doesn't mean that he's gonna make the most money everybody in the league going forward, because just like anything else, prices go up. So even though McDavid's a better player than McKinnon's still an elite player. He's up for a contract extension, and it was basically inevitable that he was going to get more than McDavid. It's not that it's deserved. It's just, as time goes on, like, again, prices of everything goes up. There's someone that's bound to get paid more than McDavid, even though they're not better than him. So, and mind you, he only did it by $100K, which is pretty funny. 12.6 out of 12.5. So, I mean, deserves to be no, but I mean, given the circumstances and everything, I mean, I don't have any issue with it. But I mean, if you're basing this question just based on skill alone, it's no. But otherwise, then yes, I guess you could say.
Okay, so is that a beer or is that are you buying?
I guess I'll go beer.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go further, and I'm gonna be outspoken about this. I'm buying everybody around, and if I could buy everybody around. Joe, by the way, all right. Well, let me give you that one real quick.
Nils Lundkvist to Dallas for a conditional first and a conditional fourth.
There you go. That was the trade. And it's if we're talking about Nils Lundkvist in a couple years, I'd love for it to be a bust, but that's not the case on this one. So finishing up with this one with Nate MacKinnon, absolutely, Anthony. We talk about like players and their market value. Well, this one was a guy that took a bridge deal, and a pretty sensible bridge deal, and then wins a Stanley Cup for you. He's got all the talent in the world. I'll argue talent-wise, maybe just short of McDavid, because McDavid, just by God, he's just a raw specimen. And this is also like MLB free agency in 1999, where Mo Vaughn was the highest paid player for a week, and then Mike Piazza was, and then Randy Johnson was, and then Kevin Brown was, and then it was just like everybody just kept leapfrogging each other, because I think Leon Draisaitl is probably going to be the highest paid soon enough as well when his extension
Actually, Austin
comes
Matthews before him.
up. And Austin Matthews, what's his worth?
Yeah.
So I don't think the next guy is going to want to go $100,000 more. But this was a player that wanted to be where the organization was, and this is an organization that wanted to pay him this money too. So that's why I knew it was going to be inevitable. It's going to be all right. And I mean, Anthony, he deserved it for taking the pay cut. He said he was tired of being the most the best bargain contract, most underpaid player in the NHL, I think he said. Yeah, no, he doesn't need that one. All right, Anthony, moving on to another team's captain who is no longer their captain. But Blake Wheeler was disrespected by the Winnipeg Jets.
I mean, it's a new coach that's coming in and wants to, put his stamp on the team and determine who he feels would be the best leader. And I guess he felt that the room needed a change. So I totally understand that. But I mean, I never like when someone's stripped of his captaincy. I mean, Blake Wheeler didn't do anything wrong. But again, he's getting older. I mean, I don't know how many more years he's going to have there before, he's moved at some point. But I mean, so again, not to always lie in the middle, but I'll go beer on this one. Cause again, I do understand from the coach's point of view coming in, he kind of wants to see what's going on there and make his own determinations. But Blake Wheeler has been a great representative of the Winnipeg Jets. He definitely didn't do anything wrong to warrant it being stripped. But again, new regime, wants to see what he has for himself.
Yeah, by the way, it's going to be beer too for me. And when you think about how long he's represented this organization, Anthony, I can't help but point this out. He is one of, I think, 3 Atlanta Thrashers remaining in the NHL right now. And I think I got him, Kane, and Zach Bogosian. Other than that, I think that's how long you represented them back when they were in Atlanta. So for starters, Blake Wheeler, great job as a captain. And yes, new organizations, they kind of want to go in a different way. Wheeler handling it well, Anthony. This is the quote from it. I don't need a letter on my jersey. There was a time in my career where that validation was important to me. But also, I got to say this too. Because I know, the last time I know something like this happened and it was a veteran player was, I think it was Thornton in San Jose got stripped and they handed it over to Pavelski, and they ended up, I think, making the Stanley Cup Finals after that. So it's not
Dustin Brown too.
Yeah, Dustin Brown too recently. Yeah, they gave it to. Thank you, by the way, and they gave it to Kopitar.
Yep.
But again, by the way, I do have to say this. And Dustin Brown also knows I'm kind of reaching the end of my road.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right. So there you go. And sometimes veteran players do need to handle it. This is 110. This is a 10-bell response by Blake Wheeler on that. He said he was a little bit surprised by it. Also, there's a thought in the Winnipeg media that they were talking about taking pressure off of Wheeler and not having so much on his plate. He's the guy that was always talking to the media all the time, and at least, easing his burden a little bit. Anthony, I read an article the other day that said this, that Patrick Laine, speaking of former Winnipeg Jets, by the way, will begin with Johnny Gaudreau on his line. Patrick Laine will be a 40-goal scorer again.
I'll go round. Gaudreau's a great playmaker. If he plays with Laine, it's definitely conceivable, especially with Laine has that, deadly shot and release, definitely, I would say top 5 in the league. So certainly feasible. He's done it before, and with having a talent like Gaudreau on your line, I think that makes it even more, probable. So I'll go round on this one.
Yeah, I gotta go. By the way, I gotta go round on this one, and I know I flashed the stats, and I know we're just projecting line A, or just all he's got to do is just get open. Goudreau finds him back of the net, but he was actually kind of gonna hit 40 goals last year. He only played 56 games. Various different reasons. I know he was I think he had a passing in his family. I can't remember who it was for a minute. So pardon me on that. But he still was having a great year. I mean, 26 goals, 30 assists. He was a point per game player. Now you're gonna put him with Johnny Gaudreau. I mean, I'd love to see what this is gonna look like now, Anthony. And I know we talked about it that night a little bit in disbelief, going, can't believe Gaudreau's going there. Well, you know what? That's Patrick Laine is definitely one of the reasons to go there. So, and that the happiest guy in the world that day was Patrick Laine. He's like, thank God I got Johnny Gaudreau now. So, and then let's go to the team that was spurned by Johnny Gaudreau. Anthony, Sean Couturier will not be ready for the start of the season, and there is no timetable for his return. So Sean Couturier's injury puts the Flyers in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes.
I mean, yeah, it's a big blow for the Flyers. I mean, he's really good defensively. He can create some offense. Definitely. I mean, outside of Kevin Hayes or Joel Farabee's probably their best player, I would say. So yeah, you know what? I'll go round. I mean, him missing a lot of time hurts them, especially down the middle. I said what their center depth was yesterday.
Oh yeah,
and it's not really the best. Kevin Hayes, Zach McEwen, and Morgan Frost. I don't know what else they have there in the pipeline, but that's gonna hurt them. And if Carter Hart can't elevate his game. I mean, he was better last year than he was 2 years ago, but if he doesn't really solidify them in between the pipes, it's going to be a long year in Philly.
Yeah, this is going to be very rough for everyone involved, and it might not be so rough for people watching the Flyers, but at least they got those strong defensive defensemen like Rasmus Ristolainen and Tony DeAngelo to help them. So if you can't tell the sarcasm, there was a lot of it right there.
And Ryan Ellis too. Ryan Ellis is probably going to be out for some time again as well. So
what do they know what's going on with this guy?
I have no idea. I mean, it seemed like when that trade happened, the Predators maybe knew something the Flyers didn't. But yeah, I mean, Ryan Ellis played 2 games for the Philly last year? I think that was it.
I think so. With that, I think he did play 2 games. I had him on fantasy. I can't even remember using him. But yeah, no, Anthony, I got to buy everybody around on this. And again, you brought it up in our group chat yesterday. Their center depth is very, very thin, and you got to hope Morgan Frost grows up quickly. And I don't think that's going to happen right away. And I mean, Tortorella, a lot of what he does with matchups. He always is matching up. You just took away one of the best defensive centers in the NHL. It's the Flyers are now. Games. Yeah, 4 games. There you go.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know that. So, and I hope the best for Sean Couturier and Ryan Ellis, obviously, but it hurts. It hurts. Yeah. Those are 2 big guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan Ellis was the centerpiece of their offseason last year, and just it sucks. Anthony, one more defenseman. Actually, there was a lot of defensemen that retired this week. Keith Yandel retired, but also Anthony, one more defenseman retired as well. PK Subban retired from the NHL after 13 seasons. And even though I'm about to sing his praises, Anthony, do you hear that sound? That's the sound of every forward happy that they won't be slew-footed. So, but going to where I'm really bringing this up, he's going into broadcasting. That we don't need to worry about that. Put him in, just put him on every network. I don't care. He's going to be a great TV personality. I'll start this off. I'll buy everybody around on this. Remember when the guy that was to my left over here, remember when we had Ray Ferraro on? Because he got him. That's the reason why I'm also going to sing some of Anthony's praises on that. And even Ray Ferraro, he said right away, he's going to be great on TV. And I just hope because I think when he was on ESPN, I think they kind of restrained him a little bit. Throw him on TNT, he will just let loose. But they already got their wild card. They got their crazy guy. That's this and that. So you know what? Just wherever you get him, just let it rip, because he's a one of a kind personality. Anthony, go ahead.
Yeah, Round for sure. He's got a great personality, and I think he's going to be fantastic on TV. I even read something the other day that apparently he's near an agreement to have so I forget what it was called or what network it was going to be on, but it was going to be it's going to start in May. But I wasn't surprised by it because I think everyone knew that he was going to end up on TV doing something. So, got a great career. I'm not really surprised he retired based on how his game has trended the last 2 years. But I think he's going to be absolutely great on TV and the media.
Yeah, I mean, it really fell off a cliff at the end of his Nashville days.
Yeah,
but it's, you know what, when you have something to back it up like that, you gotta love that. You gotta love that, where you can just go right and be on TV. All right. So, guys, that is the end of our Bar Talk segment. I know it went a little bit longer because we had a little bit of that break for Aaron Judge in the middle of it, and me riffing about Slovakian hockey players for a little bit as well. So throw down more of your thoughts in the comments below. And it's time for some Q&A. So, and again, Anthony, I'm just so happy I don't have to work tonight. I was ready to snap mentally.
Yeah, and that's probably a big relief.
Boy. Yeah. I wish we could do that, Tommy. I wish we could do that. And again, by the way, all of us on the 96 Exfil team, we all talk about Richie's save that's on there. Oh wow, Steven saying for people playing fantasy hockey, Nils Lundkvist is a sleeper pick. Now he's with Dallas, second pair of minutes behind Heiskanen and first power play unit. We'll see about that one. I hope he's on the first power play unit. But wow, Anthony, how about this? By the way, sorry, what was yours?
He won't be on the first unit. Heiskanen will run the first unit. Well,
it depends. Are they going to use two defensemen, or is all the time the 1-3-1 favors four forwards?
Yeah,
so
I guess
not. Sometimes they'll do that, though. By the way, this is also a pretty good comparison. David saying Ellis has the Joffrey Lupul disease, and Cora saying Ellis is the Flyers version of Yoenis Cespedes. Yikes.
No phone call.
So, all right, yeah, because that's what Lundqvist was when it was, when he was on the second power play unit, getting his only NHL goal. Man, that was a rocket. So, all right, go on some of these comments real quick. No, the Nils Lundkvist trade, I think it's a win for the Rangers, getting a first-round pick in a deep draft. As that boy says, he is worth more to the Rangers being traded than the Rangers keeping him. Yep, unfortunately. But that's just because he's blocked. Players asked to leave teams all. Yeah, by the way, and that happens. Yeah. Players asked to leave teams all the time. Big Daddy, that's a great question. I have to look that one up. Who was the most underpaid player in the league right now? Well, at the moment, the easy answer is Jason Robertson. I'm waiting for Anthony to get back on. Hopefully, he's got a good answer on that one. Let me think. I mean, you could say Mark Scheifele. I think he's getting 5.5. I'm on Cap Friendly right now. So, because I always have Cap Friendly on. Yeah, Scheifele's getting 6.1. I tell you who's not underpaid anymore. Kyle Connor. Wow. I think people are going to stop talking about him as being the best cap seeker in the NHL. I mean, see, I immediately went to Winnipeg because I don't think they're paying a lot of guys, but there's some in there. I think Jerry McCann just signed for a long term. So Anthony stepped out for a moment. Mangiapane, I think he just re-signed, which he did. Jonathan Huberdeau is no longer underpaid, $5.9 million last year. So, I mean, there's some good candidates. I think, actually, you just gave me an idea for an article, so thank you very much. Steven, when you were talking about it, what prospects I'm looking forward to. By the way, hope I get to see you next week when you're in here from New York. I'm going to be at the Rangers-Devils game next Thursday night. So with this one, which Rangers prospect am I most looking forward to? I'm actually going. I think we talked about him. I'm going with Will Cooley because I think the Rangers are going to need more bottom six help, and especially if Sammy Blais has an injury again. So it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to bring. A lot of people made the Tom Wilson comparison when he was younger. So hopefully, or when he was drafted, I should say, not when he was younger. But there's going to be a lot of that. So I say Will Cooley because Brendan Ottman, I think their best bet is to just slide him and get him right back to junior hockey again. Get another year where he's can dominate down there in Flint. Hopefully, go see a game down there as well. So there you go. Training camp does start this week. Actually, it starts today. So that's always a good thing. John D. Lee, how we doing? If Kravtsov makes the team, is it more to keep him or trade him? Well, if he makes the team, it's better to just keep him. I mean, right now, it's you got to see what the player is going to be because who knows if he's going to be or what he's going to be. So I would actually try to keep Kravtsov for right now and see if he plays his way to a bigger role on this team. Thing is, with guys like Kravtsov, it's going to be really tough because I keep talking about how Alexei Lafreniere needs to get a bigger role, and we still he's the second top 2 pick because Kakko number 1. So these guys got to fight and get better spots. So that's another thing in there. See, well, first, Morgan Riley, that Romanell is saying is an underpaid player. Yes, he is. Although he gets to play on that Maple Leafs power play unit. I could put up 50 points on that power play unit. Core is saying that Igor is the most underpaid still. I will agree with that. My goodness. I mean, 3 more years, I think it's at 6.25, I think it is. David is saying Fox until next year. Actually, I think his extension kicks in right now. I'm just going to double check that and make sure. Yep. Fox's $9.5 million extension kicks in right this season, right now. So weird that now I'm thinking about 2023 on this. It's just odd on that one. Steven is saying, I love how petty McKinnon was asking for 100,000 more so he could be the highest paid player. I don't know if it's actually, you know what? You probably know. You probably looked it up. So it could have been just Joe Sakic wanting to make it happen. Tommy, I didn't see any of the games. I think people were watching them though, because I was looking for them. I couldn't find any of the rookie games because there's a lot of good guys that, who knows? You got to crack the lineup. So, and yeah, Steven, by the way, yeah, I was laughing about that. I saw you say Justin. I'm trying to remember what it was. Just, but yeah, the Justin's pulling a Marc. Yeah. So Anthony had to step out for a sec, so he's going to be back in a minute. They did have him last year because I watched some of them, but again, yeah, I had to fight to find it on some of these. Just as opposed to say, by the way, Steven and everybody else, I was watching some of the Detroit rookie games, and they have a full-blown broadcast. This is the Detroit Red Wings. Now, I'm going to say the Detroit Red Wings and not the New York Rangers. Obviously, they're an original 6 team in a major market. But come on, guys. The Rangers pick it up. Throw some junior reporter out there. So it's okay. What else are the guys doing? But then again, they still got a lot of work to do, and they're going to be doing a lot during the season. So yeah, Justin Gauthier, that was it. Well, Anthony Lynn, I'm trying to remember where I had that from, but there was another one. All right. That's a good one. Statboy Justin. If the kids perform, Kreider will get 50. Here's my total for Chris Kreider this season, 42. And that's going to be that'll be what I'll say, because I do think I broke down his game footage. I got to make this video. I got to edit it for everybody. But a lot of his game last year, I don't think it's circumstantial. I think it actually can be repeated, because a lot of them he was just getting open and just getting deflections everywhere. Adrian Kempe is unpaid, is underpaid, unpaid. How the hell you get unpaid? The dude. All right, let's see where we are right here. Adrian Kempe, by the way, if you're playing fantasy, he's my number one candidate for his stats to go down. And I'll tell you why in a second. Adrian Kempe, $5.5 million for the next 4 years. So, or this year and the next 3 years. I'm going to go with that. He's probably getting paid exactly where he needs to be. Him and his teammate, Victor Arvidsson. Kempe, one reason why is because a lot of that power play time that he had last year, I think that's going to go to Kevin Fiala, because you're paying him like he's a number one scoring winger, and you got to hope that he's going to score, 85 points last year. So, yeah. And Steven, that's a great point on that. Yeah. And unfortunately, of all the people that scored 50 their first season, none of them ever scored 50 ever again. I think about Messier and Pat Verbeek. I think they were on track to score 50 with the 95-96 Rangers, and then both of them got injured. I do think Kreider is repeatable. I don't know if 50 is going to be his answer. This is a great answer. Rasmus Anderson from the Flames and Josh Norris of the center. Well, not Norris anymore. Norris got paid. Norris just got paid. So I was on the right track with some of these. Let's see. I'm going to have to write this article for the blog. So Norris is getting paid $7.95 million for the next 8 years. So it's definitely not that one. And Rasmus Anderson is getting paid $4.5 million for the next for this year and the next 4 years. Oh, all right. That's actually even worse. I got to read it again. Steven is saying, among the players who recorded their first 50-goal season after turning the age of 30, none of them ever recorded a second 50-goal season. Yeah. Well, there's also kids in the wings that are ready to replace him, because gotta kind of hold off Brennan Ottman for a little bit longer if he is going to replace Chris Kreider. You think the Rangers have enough picks to position ourselves to get another impact center? Here's the problem I think with the Rangers right now. I know a lot of things players are saying right now with the Rangers. All right, hey, what are they going to do here? What are they going to do there? They have a lot of assets. Got $1 million of cap space, guys. That's really not a recipe to get another player at the trade deadline, but they do have draft picks. You got a first and a third from the Colorado Avalanche for next year. Not the first. I mean, obviously the first from the Stars. So, but they really can't pay anyone. Oof. See, I'm a little bit surprised about this. Joey Mullen had a 50-goal season, but yeah. Rangers can't pay anyone. Yeah, Rob Thomas. Oh, but Rob Thomas just got an $8.1 million deal. So AZ, you got me looking on this. I probably, now that I have the afternoon off, yes, God, thank you. Maybe I'll actually after I take a nap, look at all this, because I'm gonna have to go scour Cap Friendly and do like salaries on everybody. See what everything is. David is saying, I don't think Chris Kreider will needs to score 50 again to be successful. I doubt any of us would care if he scores 30 or 40. And you know what? If he scores 38 goals, but there's a bigger role for Kakko and Lafreniere, then we're not going to care as fans or even as pundits, because that doesn't matter. Sometimes, Adam Graves scored 50 once. He scored a lot of 30-goal seasons and a lot of 20-goal seasons. I believe every year, every full season with the Rangers, he had 20 goals up until his last. On his fifth. I should just wave Barzal right now. No, you'd wish that would be the case, Pat, but no. Fans around the league. I mean, that guy can really skate. So it's gonna be happening again. Marc, can we package our players along with all the draft picks? I mean, here's the problem. There's a lot of Rangers that have no move clauses. Like, I'm on the Rangers cap friendly. Let me just give you a quick one. Let's see. No move clause. Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, Vinny Trocheck, Barclay Goodrow, Jacob Trouba. Adam Fox doesn't have a no move clause, but why would you want to move him? And same thing with Igor. Like, Yaroslav Halak has got a no move clause, but he's got a no move clause for 1 year deal. All right. I guess it's so he could dictate if the Rangers were out of it where he could go, but that's not going to be the case. I am actually going to drop Anthony out of this right now, so that way But Davey, by the way, I do have to ask this question, and Tommy's right about this. Who's this big time center that you're trying to go get? Mika Zibanejad already is a big time center from what we all believe, and I mean. And I just saw the name pop up yet again. I'm going to probably go a little bit crazy. But yes, you never want to give up a roster player. But oh my God, if I have to hear one more name of Patrick Kane, if the Rangers go get Patrick Kane, it means that Kakko and Lafreniere are total waste of time. That's what that really means. Because you go get them, but it's just like, they're not going to have that much space, maybe some at the trade deadline. You're going to have to trade somebody else to free up some space. Then you're just putting another veteran in ahead of young players that need to play and develop. I know the Rangers. Actually, Steven, unfortunately, I'm going to be cutting off soon. I'm actually going to be cutting off soon, guys. I know I would love for you to come on, but I'm half asleep right now. I covered a shift last night, and I was awake at 5:30 in the morning. So I was up at 11 to make sure we're prepped for this. So, but again, they can't afford Patrick Kane. I'm tired of just when Patrick Kane's a New York Ranger, wake me up, quite literally, because I'm going to be taking a nap in a little bit. But so there's, yeah. Because when I actually say I'm going to go 10 more minutes, I actually do mean it today. It's but by the way, Steven, I'm going to have to message you so that way I can get in touch with you next week when I see you. No, but this one is I'm kind of half asleep, Core. It's you guys know you can keep me on for 3 hours, but I can't do that today. But here's the thing. Again, Davey, I understand what you're saying with that, but if you do a young established center, you're basically looking for Mika Zibanejad. I mean, if it's a young established center, they're going to be there and they're already locked up by their team. And like, there's no chance of getting Alexander Barkov, who I think is actually a little bit older now. He's probably in his late 20s. There's the Rangers. And you know what, Steven, put it down in the quotes before. Other than Derek Stepan, how many 50-point centers have the Rangers developed since 2000? I mean, that came through their system. Derek Stepan, and I think 1 year of Brendan Dubinsky. And I'm not even sure if he was on the wing. I'm not even sure if he was on the wing. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's always the way to say that. Yeah. And by the way, he's right about this one too. If you want some centers, you're gonna have to develop them, get them through the system. Like the best way to do it half the time with this is you have your established players, and then you get the players that are going to end up succeeding them playing on the lower lines, but fulfilling those lower roles. Remember, Pavel Datsyuk played behind Steve Yzerman and Sergei Fedorov, and then when Fedorov eventually went to Anaheim in free agency, Datsyuk ended up moving up. So, and yeah, you guys are great, but like I said, I'm going to be cutting it off at about 1:30, so that's why I just don't. I maybe I'll schedule something else. We're still going to have our season preview. We're hoping to get that where we get Philk on with us and everybody's all together on this. I could easily see Tommy's saying I could easily see the Rangers trading Kakko if he has another bust season. Well, that's an easy one because then you just got to trade him. But what if you put him on a team where guys actually let him play? The problem is, I think, the problem is with this is coaches are paid to win, and David Quinn trusting veteran after veteran after veteran over his young players, you got to play him. So, but again, but by the way, but Davey, that's also a good point too, because some organizations, they just develop certain things better. I'll go with the New York Mets. The New York Mets develop pitchers. There you go. And the other one I'd say with that is the Rangers don't develop centers. They need to develop centers. And they got to figure that one out. You could also tell I'm a little bit babbling right now. That's another reason why I know I'm probably going to cut it off soon. We're going to set the timer. We're going to do 1:30, guys. Sorry about it. It's this isn't exactly riveting TV at the end, but it's why we love to do it. Drury going to draft a center in the first round next year. Way too many centers that are there. If Drury gets, this is a good one from Steve. If Drury gets a Dabar Dvorsky, I will do cartwheels and spend another month in a hospital because I can't do cartwheels. Earth, Wind, and Fire Day. Really? They have their own day? All right. See, what is this? Oh, because it's the vernal equinox today. That's September 21st. This is also the season where golfers are going to lose their balls underneath a leaf because they can't find it and get pissed off. I know, because I've had that happen to me several times. Remember, that's V for Vendetta, right, Steven? Oh, no. 25th of September? Nah, I gotta remember that. Let's see. David, Rangers haven't drafted any centers until recent drafts in the lower rounds. That's why you can't trade high picks year after year. Yeah, but again, the Rangers need to get us. They need to get centers. I can't say that enough. Wow, oh, is that right? Only 17 likes. And by the way, we're going to conclude the poll that's right there on where you like to sit. A lot of people said low at center ice, and like I said, high at one end. I almost don't think there's a bad spot at a hockey game. The corners, I think, are the bad ones. But oh yeah, thanks, Steven. And thanks, David. Thanks, Dave, because I forgot all about that song for a minute, and now it's stuck in my head. So thank you very much, guys. Do you remember the 21st of September? All right. Oh, I know. No, thanks. No. Golfers will be losing balls under falling leaves while it's 95 degrees out. That is right. My favorite is in Arizona when I hit a ball into the cacti, and then it's like, all right, well, you might as well get out of there pretty quickly because there's snakes that like to hide out there. Oh, awesome. All right. Oh, geez. See, the worst part is, Pat, I was in musical theater when I was younger. And then in that case, don't listen to Bring on the Hockey Season. I did a takeoff or a spoof of We Didn't Start the Fire last year. That was a great night. All right. Well, yeah. Oh, what a night. Yeah. Actually, here you go. Mike saying this one. I used to have season tickets right behind the Rangers bench, 2 rows back. What did one cacti say to the other one? Nothing. They were pricks. I know a prick when I see one. No. I would love to have Steven on. I'm actually running out right now. I'm starting to babble, guys. I know we're keeping me going for a little bit, but I'm not feeling great today. 96 tomorrow. That's amazing. Oh, but no, I gotta. And Steven, I'm gonna send you a message after I get off too. Just letting you know which games I'm at, and especially if it ends up being you and Tyler there, then at the same time, that would be a twofer to get both of you guys. All right, you know what, guys, I'm sorry. I just have not gotten good sleep at all, but we have a lot of stuff that we're doing, and yeah, I'm getting worn down. All right. We got a lot of stuff that's coming up. We got the season preview coming in, and as usual, I like it. I got to bring in my cousin Phil right here to start it up right now. There's another. Oh, hey, Vinny. I don't think I've. Yeah, well, actually, that's a problem. I had the Red Bull. The Red Bull's one reason why I'm not there. So by the way, I think that's my first time I'm seeing you on there. So welcome to the show. Yeah. Oh, guys. Sorry. There'll be other days. Don't worry about it. But I only got the one. Actually, because what I assumed that was going to happen today was that I was going to immediately go right back to sleep. And now I can actually get lunch. Oh no, I always say there's always tomorrow, Steven. But yeah. But I actually am gonna do 5-hour energy and meth to keep you awake for days. I think about that. I think it was 30 Rock that they were doing a weight loss program with Dr. Spaceman, and he just says, well, there's lots of weight loss techniques. Crystal meth has shown to be very good. That's one of my favorite quacks on TV. But yeah, no, I now I got a lot to do, and it's a different way, so I can't wait to go do that. So oh yeah. I don't know if I can make a Commonwealth. I will look up how that is. So, AZ, yeah, come on down. It's in Wantal. I'll always put the address on there. Well, yes, unfortunately, that's definitely the worst way to do that. Actually, I got to go find a dentist. Unfortunately, Monday's preseason game, the Rangers and Islanders, I'm not going to be there. But like it's because I'm working. So thank you, General. I try my best with that. So still love hearing my cousin Phil. He's been gone 10 years now. So, which by the way is always a reminder: prostate. Get your prostate checked. He ended up having prostate cancer. Although he did get it checked, and he actually survived it, and then it went to remission and came back. So, all right. I'm happy with the dentist, but I don't mind going to Babylon. Yeah, but I mean, Mike, I'll actually text you about that because I got a lot of questions. And by the way, hopefully Juan S, if you're watching, I have a shirt I had to send out to you. Come on, you had to send me your address. All right. So, all right. Well, first, Steven, let me say that. Hopefully, you're flying to the Netherlands on the 8th to visit your mom and support her through chemo. I hope she'll have a speedy recovery and very quickly. All the support from us, from Big Apple Hockey, as well as obviously the Wardy NHL, the Rangers Review, everybody that's over there. Hopefully, yeah. I'm not a dentist, but yeah. Oh, Lauren, how are you doing? Yeah. No, actually, yeah. I'm just signing off right now. So, yeah, because I gotta. I'm just burnt out, guys. So don't worry about that. Don't worry. There's gonna be other shows this week. I'll see if I can get some. I'll see if I can finally get that Chris Kreider video done. Maybe today. So, yeah. Because my problem, Steven, is I'm always, we're going to 1:30. I'm always on here. I can't get off. It's a power trip, or it's a drug. It's a wonderful, wonderful drug. All right, guys. So we're gonna cut it off here, though, for today. It's always great doing these. Next week, a much bigger show. We're actually going to have breaking down thoughts on the preseason games and what we're going to be seeing. Rangers Islanders on Monday, and oh well, that's what she said. So yeah, I can go see Lou sometimes. Looking forward to seeing my Flames playing the Rangers this year. Hopefully we'll get in a few games. Yes. Hopefully there'll be a 7-game series for the Rangers and the Flames at the end. Because again, I got to say that is a hell of a job that they did to rebuild that team. And I'm still trying to figure out ways of not making the Rangers and the Flames my Stanley Cup pick again this year, but this time actually having it happen. So we'll see about that one. All right, Steven, thank you very much. Like I said, I'm going to message you in a few minutes because I still got to get this up on iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. We're also on now. So there's still so much we got to do, and we're expanding thanks to you guys. We got a great community, and of course, from different channels as well. So thank you very much, everybody, and we will see you soon. And I love this song. It's a great song.